There is nothing like rolling into a big city for the first time. Seeing the buildings appear on the horizon, a secret lineup of concrete, steel, and glass, hidden from your eyes for most of your life in some faraway place, until they are suddenly as tall as the clouds, now unveiled before you as the ultimate welcome sign as you approach. The thrill of seeing this is undeniable. There's a ton of places to see and visit, tons of people to meet, and many stories to be found in every city that you go to. You may like some streets more than others, and you may come back to visit those streets. Heck, you may even end up staying for good. Hopefully not as a dead person, but as somebody moving in, but it happens, you get stabbed. Andy Archer is a fresh from the cornfields kid from Kansas, having rushed into the heights of Denver, Colorado. Big move, big improvement, right? Where he is clearly in over his head. He loses his luggage and lands on Skid Row, I guess they have one of those in Denver, shacking up in a tenement apartment, finding the city to be filled with more weirdos and characters than a Saturday morning cartoon lineup. Andy has his sights set on becoming a writer, managing to rent a typewriter from a video store where a young firecracker of a woman works, Jill. These two strike up a relationship of opposites. Jill's kind of gruff, Andy's kind of a dumb kid. And things are finally starting to look up for him, though, way up there in the mile-high city once he meets this woman. That is, until Andy comes across a little guy getting mugged. The two survive the encounter, and Andy officially meets Vinny. Vinny is a resourceful guy, having grown up on the apparently very mean streets of Denver, where not even DeLoreans are safe from the rampant crime. Doc, look out, they're jacking your ride. In return for saving him, he gives Andy a TV set and a VCR, because that's what friends do. Here, hold this, it's a little hot. One problem, though. Vinny found these electronics in a cultist apartment, a place where strange rituals happened, rituals that got filmed and recorded. Turns out that VCR and TV are so hot, they might as well be from hell. Now, every night when Andy sleeps in front of his television and VCR, strange visions enter his dreams. Visions that end up being real when he wakes up the next day. Really violent. Visions of nasty things. Soon enough, if Andy doesn't get his act together and get rid of this VCR, he's gonna find out there's worse things in life than a late fee on a video rental. Whew, man, Denver is a rough place. It's a little ridiculous how much crime is going on in the film. Characters are constantly talking about how shitty things are. I didn't recognize the Denver skyline. I'm not too familiar with the city. I assumed they were like in a rough part of Boston or Baltimore or something. Nope, it's fucking Denver. This movie makes a real focus on how nasty society was. People are jacking cars, picking through dropped suitcases, and even stealing newspapers, which is pretty funny. You remember putting coins into dispensers and only taking one newspaper from those little boxes? Man, that takes me back. Yeah, it all seems pretty cartoonish here. Were people really this scummy? I did some research, and apparently Denver actually was kind of rough in the late 80s, so it's authentic. Apparently, the crime rate is slowly crawling back up to where it was in the 80s, so we may one day end up with Night Vision 2 with someone, I don't know, stealing a haunted iPod or something. Well, times have really changed since this film came out in other regards. I marveled at Andy's plan to survive. Back then, a kid could literally move to the big city without a place to stay, without a job lined up, without a clue as to how he's going to make it. That's certainly different from today, where you better have 6 months of rent payments and food ready, an airtight work-from-home job ready to go, and an exclusive $1,200 a month cardboard box staked out on Zillow before you even consider moving anywhere. But all of this made me identify so much with Andy. Getting past the differences, I saw so many similarities. I knew exactly the feeling of wandering around a big city, wondering how you're going to make it, and even what it is, much less how to make anything other than a lot of risk for yourself by doing crazy, risky things. Andy's parents and his story are endearing, and I really liked him and his whole thing, for the most part. I absolutely love the characters and writing in this film. Everyone is written with a layer of detail, that little extra bit that has believably accumulated sleaze and dis-ease. The parts where Jill threatens a pint-sized video store thief are hilarious.
Now listen, and listen good. There's nothing in these boxes. Get it? Empty. Teenage zombie nurses in chains. A little something for extra credit in biology, huh? You want to know what we do to people that try and rip us off? We tie them up and make them watch tapes of Sesame Street backwards. That way they don't know what order the alphabet's in.
These are easily the movie's best parts. They quite honestly could have done something different than a haunted VCR movie and come out with like a fun little independent video slice of life drama or a comedy like Clerks, and it would have worked. But that's a different time in a different city. Really though, director and writer Michael Kruger clearly had a sense of humor, with most of the gags in the film being successful and cute. A character appears outside of the video store demanding to see a movie. That movie is Mind Killer, which is the director of Night Vision's other movie. They were both released at the same time, so imagine like renting both of those movies, knowing that the Michael Kruger films, I guess, and then sitting down to watch it and you see him referencing the other movie. Mind Killer even makes an appearance on the stolen TV for a few seconds, where it appears to already be on reruns. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Somebody better tell that guy, though, that, hey, just go watch TV, dude. The movie's on TV. You don't have to rent it. These small touches really bring personality to the movie, demonstrating that the director and writer, again, Michael Kruger, and the rest, all cared about what they were doing with this film. That said, it's unfortunate. The energy put into these touches should probably have gone instead into fixing the movie's lack of coherence and the horror aspect of it. That's right, I have barely talked about horror in this entire movie review. The scariest thing I talked about was Denver's crime rate. That's because there's barely any horror in this movie, and what is there doesn't really make any sense. The whole idea of a haunted VCR is that it plays random static while Andy is sleeping. This in turn influences somebody to write down works on the typewriter, short stories and segments about violence toward people that then comes true, maybe, sort of, once or twice. It's really hard to follow. It's super confusing. I had to rewatch scenes a couple times to understand what exactly was going on, and I'm still not sure if it's what I think was going on. I can't even talk about it. It's making making head hurt. And that sucks because the rest of the movie's fantastic. I give Night Vision 3 DeLorean victims to the Denver carjacking menace out of 5. It's safe to say if you're into atmospheric 1980s Mark Isham-style trumpet and synth soundtracks, the mean streets of Denver, and great characters and snappy writing, you might want to tune in to Night Vision. For everyone else, there's more movies and more horizons to explore yet.
All of these things are designed to frighten a monkey.